that we record this for posterity. And again, for the recording, I'm David Howard, Vice President of Corporate Strategy for Pavo. I've got Erhan Cakmak, our co-founder and CEO, joining us this morning, and I have Ari Gorman, our CTO. And again, we're connecting from beautiful San Francisco, California this morning, where it's a beautiful morning. So Erhan, welcome.
Thank you, Dave. I would like to just say hello to everybody. Good afternoon to most of you outside of the US. As Dave said, we are in San Francisco, actually sitting in the conference room at our office building in San Francisco. And let's start, Dave.
Yeah, and Ari, welcome to you as well.
Thank you.
Great. So again, we are recording the webinar, and we will have some time for Q&A later. Please take a look if you're not already familiar with the Q&A function of Zoom. You'll be able to type in your questions later, and then I'll field those questions. I'll field them over to Ari and Erhan. And yeah, I've got some people in chat. Thanks so much. And then before we started, during our audio check, I just want to acknowledge we've got a diverse audience here this morning. We've got folks from Europe, Asia, North America, Latin America. I want to welcome everybody and thank everybody from joining from all over the world this morning. So we're going to get started actually with you, Ari. And you know, we've had some questions that came in to feed the webinar from our audience ahead of time. They wanted you to talk about your development model and tools in software development for Pavo and where open source fits in all of that.
Well, so Pavo is an it's basically a platform, and it's also a hardware and an IoT transformation company. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to allow our users to utilize their own hardware, utilize existing hardware, or being able to get off-the-shelf hardware, and that's where the open source software comes into play. They will benefit from the development and the testing. Can you guys hear me? I hear a little bit of feedback.
We're okay. Tell you what, I'm going to mute our microphone for a moment while you talk, so we don't get any extra noise.
So yeah, so where it will come into play is definitely from the hardware perspective. We want our users to be able to ubiquitously utilize hardware and really not have to worry about being compatible. So what we're trying to do today is create the second generation of sensors, the second generation of IoT gateway that, they will be coupled with the application, but where open source really is going to have, it's going to be playing a big role. It's in the ability to distribute the intelligence from the IoT gateway and being able to utilize off-the-shelf sensors. So that's the most important part where we stand. That's the most important part of the open source. The second part is really Pavo is a platform. Pavo has its own applications, but application providers and application developers will be able to then utilize Pavo APIs and the Pavo intelligence to develop their own applications. So not necessarily open source, but definitely where will be a platform that would allow for third parties to utilize a lot of the tools that we're developing, and again, a lot of the intelligence, more importantly, to be able to harvest, no pun intended, a lot of the data that we will be bringing onto the platform. So again, open source for the IoT gateway, open source for the sensors, but then a lot of connectivity and a lot of openness from a platform perspective.
Thanks, Ari. And you just keyed on an important point. Maybe you could expand on it a bit. You mentioned about off-the-shelf hardware and sensors. And I think this is something our audience has some confusion about sometimes. Maybe you can clarify what that means about off-the-shelf. I mean, we're not manufacturing sensors and we're not manufacturing hardware. We're using stuff off-the-shelf. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So exactly. So, and this question again, from from a lot of the farmers and a lot of the farming operations, it's again that's been the most recurring question, right? So when we say off the shelf, we're talking there's multiple companies out there that offer intelligent boards, or what they call intelligent boards, which we Arduino based or Arduino like. So that is a lot of what we consider off the shelf. With that said, we're also working with a couple companies that, again, we'll be able to announce very soon, that they will be manufacturing a Pavo specific sensor and Pavo specific hardware. What that means that somebody's going to be able to go into a marketplace, they'll be able to order their Pavo ready sensors, again, not manufactured by us. This is a third party. This is a company that has been manufacturing sensors for a lot of other companies. They really like the Pavo idea. They like the Pavo ecosystem. So they're going to partner with us, and they will manufacture a Pavo specific sensor. They will also manufacture some of the housing for some of those Arduino based sensors. So the Arduino based sensor, a lot of them already have the LoRa chipset, and we can expand on the whole LoRa thing. A lot of them will be using technologies that are probably a little more energy inefficient. But again, when we say off the shelf, this is boards that you can order from a multitude of places, and they are Arduino or Arduino-like.
Excellent, thanks, Ari. For my next question, I'm going to turn to Erhan here in the conference room with me. Erhan, can you tell us how we're, jumping from the great technology that Ari is providing and pulling together, can you jump from that to go to market with getting farmers on board the Pavo platform?
Sure. Ari is basically building the base for us to have a go-to-market strategy at all, Dave. So, and via our community and our audience. So this is the what, right? If you look at a go-to-market strategy, it's all about the what, the who, where, and how, right? So the what is what our really excellent team is putting together for the market and for the farmers is the IoT blockchain platform for agriculture. That is what we do and what we are getting ready and got ready so that we could deploy it in many farms already. So, and the who is actually who do we sell to, right? And who do we sell to is at the beginning, and which is the most important part, is to the farmers. And we need to support them, of course, to start using our system. So we deployed with many farms to cross all the T's in the system, as a great technology team always does. And having most of our people in the valley, in the Silicon Valley, so we are geared to build the product in a way it is stable, it's scalable, it's resilient, and helps the farmers not today, but also works all the time. So our Mehmet, as part of our team and the VP of Agriculture, would always tell us, anyone on the team and myself, whatever we do for the farmer needs to work like a tractor at the end, just more sophisticated and give them the ability to have all the data and analysis and analytics available to them, which are not available to them. So again, to whom we sell is to the farmers. Today, we do that directly and mainly by the viral methodology, where people just talk about us, and we have already enough relationships to start our initial 50 to 100, we believe, of farms to deploy. Right. So this is a who do we sell to. Now the how is always the question about distribution and channels. So I mentioned already one. This is the direct part, but that's not usually scalable. Secondly, we already have started mainly to talk to co-ops, farm co-ops around the globe. And we started with California with the Farm Bureau via our advisors like David Dahl, who's also so-called the almond doctor. Also in Europe, one of our major targets is Germany. Being a Switzerland company, I know, and I assume, but maybe I should elaborate a little bit on it. So we are a Switzerland-based company. My background, I lived 2/3 of my life in Europe, mainly in Germany, and one third in the US. And Germany is going to be a big market. We already are in discussions with the second largest co-op in Germany with 40,000 farm members. And those farm members get from the co-op, from the fertilizers to tractors, anything you can think of in any supplies. And they are interested to leverage our platform and provide their farm members with the state-of-the-art IoT blockchain platform and the way Ari has built it based on LoRa. And this will help us. So this will drive our adoption, which is part of the go-to-market strategy, which I'm sure all of you are interested how we may drive adoption. And the co-ops, their main goal is obviously to serve their members with the latest and greatest and what helps them to drive quality and yield, right? This is the major part and major benefit we drive from the what, which is Ari has described it so in detail, so that we help them to drive a high quality product and over time with the best yield possible. And with the blockchain technology, providing the provenance means to understand for the farmer what they have used, have everything on record, but at the same time, when the marketplace has been built, which is another way to reach the market as part of the go-to-market strategy, that the consumers will know that it's not just an organic stick anymore, as I do when my wife asked me to buy organic produces. In this case, Pavo will be able to certify all ingredients, everything has been used in the life cycle of this crop, this plant, this produce to land at your table as a food or as a shirt on your back. So this is the main focus on how do we reach the markets from a distribution and community perspective, and means any one of you is welcome in your respective countries to support us. I also would like to mention that one of our main advisors, Professor Dr. Darren Detweiler at the Northeastern University, the Assistant Dean, and the capacity in food sustainability, has provided us with internships. Those interns will provide us with market research across the globe to do the right things and tackle the markets from the right perspective, from the go-to-market as well. And I believe we need all of your help too in your respective regions to help us to identify the right channels to drive adoption in those countries. So again, it's the farm management companies, it's the farm bureaus, the co-ops, and of course some of the direct relationship with major brands we may drive as well, who are interested, and it could be from grapes, means at the end the wine industry, and of course what is our main focus is on tree nuts, which is almonds, the walnuts, the hazelnuts, the pistachios, and the cashew nuts, as I experienced recently when I was in Brazil and speaking at a conference in Sao Paulo. Now, the where, I already talked about it briefly about it, but again, where is always from a go-to-market strategy, do you use any online possibilities? As we said, yes, we will use our own marketplace, which we are developing. And secondly, where is always about the geography. And the main geography where we start to deploy, and we start to deploy, is already in the US, in California, which is a big farm country, despite of having the great technologies. And secondly is Europe. Third, of course, is Asia, where we started having discussions. We haven't deployed yet any systems in Asia, but we are in discussions in Japan and in China to deploy pilot farms, and we've been in the discussions, and Ari, I think, has figured out with the team what is needed there to deploy. In Europe, soon we will deploy multiple farms in Austria, in Hungary, in Germany, as you heard, Switzerland, where our jurisdiction is, it's a smaller country, but the next set of countries will be, and of course, one of the major countries is Turkey, leading the hazelnut industry with 60% of the world production. where we already have deployed systems and gathered data with our team, even in the past, which allowed us to build algorithms, predictive algorithms on yield prediction. And whoever is interested in the community, we are happy to share. It's also, as far as I know, in our materials and collaterals. If anyone is interested, Dave will be able to share that with you, which shows a 20% yield increase on algorithms we built based on our software. And we believe the next set of data will be trained will be almonds within California, which will lead us to other parts of the tree nuts world, which will be walnut probably following, and all others will follow from there. Now, from a regional perspective, we also see, as my trip to Sao Paulo has showed, that Brazil, as the second largest food exporter, will have main interest to work with us, and many have approached us to be a local distribution and local partner to help us to deploy, but also support the local communities. What else in essence, the ecological platforms, obviously, particularly in Europe, again, will help us. They've been in existence since I was a college student a long time ago, and they have advanced as well, and as a team collectively, but personally, I do believe, particularly in Europe, where we find very, very conscious consumers demanding the right produces, and all the ingredients are necessary, and the right ingredients to be used to grow any produce they may consume will be important for us, and we believe this will lead us to any other region where a lot of conscious ecological consumers are ready to consume the right product sets from the market, from the right channels, working with us and getting Pavo certified. Dave.
Thanks, Erhan. I'm just typing to a response. Vico, sure. if you could just hold on, I will finish typing out the response I'm typing for your question. What I'm going to do in a second, I'm going to share my screen, and I'll bring up the mobile app so folks can see it. We've got some screen grabs from the mobile app. And while I do that, Ari, maybe you can just expand a little bit on mobile app roadmap. It's on the Google Play Store now. It's coming on iTunes. If you could just speak a little bit to roadmap while I pull it up, that would be helpful. Okay, there we go. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see. Let me just slide this over a little bit if I can. Hopefully everybody can see the screen grabs from the mobile app. So Ari, can you hear me okay? Something happened with the audio.
Sorry, I had a problem with Zoom not clicking my,
oh, okay.
my mute off.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah, so can you just speak a little bit to mobile app development? It's on the Google Play Store now, coming on iTunes shortly, a bit of roadmap. And then again, hopefully what I'm going to do is...
I think the most important things to say about mobile is really converting it from an application to a tool. And what that means is what we wanted to do with the first generation of the application. It's a dashboard for very, very simple collaboration. And when I say collaboration, is the farmers geographically get grouped, and now they can share a lot of information. They can share events. They can share not only what's going on with their farm, but what's going around the farm. So again, collaboration and the ability to group and create this community. Second is really a reflection of the data that is being collected. So the most important thing that a farmer can have is the ability to see as real time as possible. And again, I'm not a farmer, but we're building all of this from the feedback of the farmers. We have not only farmers in the team that are helping us develop this, but again, this is all being engineered kind of in an upside down pyramid by understanding first what is the need and what is not so much the want, but the need from the farmer, and from there moving to the want. So going from that is now creating the intelligence within the farm. So the application now moves to more intelligence, it moves more to recipes, it moves more to the creation of the baselines for the different crops. So what you're gonna see in the next generation is the ability to create forecasts, the ability to create suggestions based on the data, and more importantly here is the ability to confront and compare data between farms of the same crop in different regions. So the most important thing for farmers are going to be, what this translates into is, how do I save money and how do I create a better yield, right? So how do I save money? We save money by not over irrigating, and of course, very important, never under irrigate. How do we save on nutrients? How do we certify the nutrients? And how do we create an environment to where everything that I'm doing is creating a record that I can audit and I can use to start forecasting? So those baselines are very, very, very important. And it's not just harvesting a lot of data, which is what we've seen with other platforms, right? They just go and grab all kinds of data and all kinds of metrics. We're concentrating on the important metrics, but more importantly is we're giving it to data scientists, and we're putting it through two different tracks. We're putting it through the human data scientists, and we're putting it through the machine-to-machine learning. So the algorithms, and we're comparing. So it's a little slow going, but what we're trying to do here is we're trying to create the best approach and process for the policy that is going to be eventually the recipe for the farmer. So machine to machine and analyst or big data consultant, from that perspective, is what makes us extremely different than our competitors or some of the other ideas that are there. Those two different tracks and again, those capabilities is what's really going to create a lot of value to the farmer.
Thanks, Ari. So I just want to quickly recap. I'm typing some answers in the chat as well. So Ari had mentioned we've got folks in agriculture on the team. So I just want to recap. Amit Choka, our VP of Agriculture, he is an almond farmer himself. Erhan mentioned David Dahl, he's a pomologist. A pomologist is somebody who specializes in fruits, plant fruits, like tree nuts are essentially a fruit. And we have, and I've put onto the chat session a link to one of our videos with one of our Central Valley, California farm installations, so you can hear directly from one of our farmers ourselves. And I invite you to browse all the rest of the videos in our YouTube channel. There's a couple other farm installations there from the Central Valley in California and also in Turkey. So with that, I want to turn back to you, Erhan.
Sure.
What have you got in terms of on the road coming up? I know it's a busy summer.
It's going to be a busy summer, and looks like I will be traveling the whole July and just in the midst of our planned ICO target date, early August. Ahead of the time, we will be, actually Ari will join me, and thanks to our ICO box partner who have been supporting us and helping us to launch the ICO. This time they put besides all the conferences we usually go to, they put a specific roadshow for us together because we have a lot of interest in China, in Korea, in China, not only mainland China, we have Hong Kong, again, Korea, South Korea, needless to say, but also an upcoming market interested in agricultural solutions, but also how to use our token and what this could mean to them from a crypto perspective is Malaysia. It's where we will spend, I believe, about 2 weeks on the schedule. So early July, Ari and I will be landing in Shanghai. We will go to 4 other major cities from Hangzhou to Beijing to Shenzhen to Hong Kong to meet with crypto enthusiasts directly. It's just a roadshow tailored for us by our ICO box team. And there's a lot of interest to participate in our ICO, but also a lot of interest on helping us to get a foothold in those regions. And Malaysia actually will be a bit different. We will be hosted by a technology accelerator who will bring in a number of events to their place. And Ari and I will be there for 2 weeks to share what we have done so far. And then I think it will be end of July, if I'm not mistaken, looking at the calendar. And meanwhile, part of our team, including yourself and Alan Young, our vice chairman and my co-founder, he will be in Dubai on July 23rd, and right before we will be in Istanbul, meeting with the crypto enthusiasts in Istanbul on a promotion event of our ICO and our platform. It's on July 17th, close to the Bosporus Strait. And there will be some private events, specifically in Luxembourg, Frankfurt, Germany, and in our jurisdiction, Zurich, to basically end the roadshow. And hopefully, and I'm glad that the team is there. So just for everybody on the call, so this is impossible to be done just by a small team. I'm glad we have a number of people who can help me to get to all of you. Otherwise, just calendar-wise, it just won't be possible to be everywhere at the same time. And we don't like to just rush through the days, so we're trying to spend as much as we can to provide substantial information and sharing what we did and what we would like to do. Even the expected successful ICO, which we expect with all of your help, life won't stop there. So it will continue, and we are trying to build the right relationships and partnerships everywhere to help with adoption post-ICO as well, and continue to deliver value. This is how and why we started. This is the reason why we built what we have built. It's all based on creating the value to have a sustainable company and grow it with the help of all of you across the globe. I'm actually very excited that the first time, this is the most global things after my early days at GE, which was a gigantic company, which I left in '94. And that was the time where we worked most in a global fashion. But this is a grassroots movement, and we have a lot of interest and a lot of people. And I've talked to many people in Europe, partly in Asia, and also here in, again, South America, and also in California, where a lot of millennials are following the cause, and they believe our goal is really to help and flourish and prosper the agriculture industry, but also the AgTech ecosystem. So what you heard from Ari, we are not just interested to do everything ourselves. We will be more than happy if anyone wants to join the calls, and we'll deliver pieces of what is needed for agriculture in general, but also for the AgTech ecosystem is welcome to connect and contact Dave or any of us and help us to create a very successful company.
Thanks, Erhan. I'm getting a bit backlogged on questions. Let me speak to a few of them, and then sure. I'm going to turn one of them specifically over to Ari. So, broadly speaking, I just want to make clear, we already talked about the sensors and the gateways, and I know people love to hear about sensors. But I want to be really clear, and I want to encourage all of you, view us as a software company. That is where our intellectual property lies. That's where the algorithms and the machine learning, all the magic really happens in the software that we've developed over years. And I posted the hazelnut yield paper to the chat session. You can go and look that up. That's really where the magic lies. So, I mean, even the work that we do, if you recall how Ari explained it about the open source components, the work that we do around the gateways is really about custom software that's put into the open source that gets loaded onto off-the-shelf hardware manufactured by others. So, final comment on that, please, when you think about us, view us as a software company. That's really the heart of what we do and where our magic is. That said, there were some questions about the hardware. Yes, there are standard warranties that we provide along with the sensors and the hardware. We're going to take care of that for the farmers. They're not going to be stranded. Another important point about this is once the stuff gets in place in the field, in the indoor farm or in the orchard, it becomes very sticky with the farmers. Folks don't want to go and take that stuff out. So we view this as a very sticky application. Once it's deployed and installed and delivering value, switching costs are going to be very high for the farmers to switch us out. We also had another question, and this is where I'm going to turn it over to you. We had another question, some specifics around how we help farmers optimize their operations and gain efficiencies. And part of the answer to that is about the Internet of Things component of what we do and automating operations at the farm. And Ari, that's where I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, sorry, I get a little passionate when we start talking about analytics, data analytics. So yeah, very important part of the roadmap is the automation and the orchestration. So this year, we will be deploying our irrigation control for both indoor and outdoor. We'll have lights control for indoor. The environmentals control, of course, that's more for indoor, for vertical gardening, which will be, again, environmental AC monitoring, security access for farms. But I think where it really comes into is the orchestration, right? The on and off by moisture variable, the scheduling. So right now, what we have found is that 90% plus of all the farms we have come across work off a schedule. So irrigation comes on a certain time, it will go for a certain period of time, and it will turn off and repeat. Where I think the most value we're going to bring immediately is in our ability to create an environment where the farmer will know how moisture is being absorbed by the tree or the plant in the different levels, so different depths within the soil, the type of soil, and then adjust that in a very simplistic way within the orchestration panel or portal of Pavo. So they will be able to have that almost automated. We don't want to say it automated because, again, different conditions, weather, temperature, there's multiple things that are going to come into play, but the orchestration to a very finite degree is going to be able to run where the tree or the plant needs water and only as much water as it really needs. So that is the goal. And from the proof of concepts that we've been running, we're getting there and we're getting there quickly. We have, again, California, it's a little different than the Mediterranean, and Europe is a little different. So every time we deploy a farm is primarily moisture and weather, and how weather and the type of soil and how it affects it. And immediately after that is working on that irrigation control. So again, that is going to be, for a lack of a better description, and again, no pun intended, the low-hanging fruit. We are going to be doing unit health checks. So we're already working on the deployment of the NPK or the nutrition sensors, and what that will do to the automation and the orchestration of nutrients into the soil. We're working with 2 different soil companies right now that have again, we're in the process right now of the partnership negotiation, but one of them, it's very interesting, the process and the technology that we'll be bringing onto Pavo. And again, this is going into that openness of the platform. So one of the things they really like about Pavo is the ability to deploy around the world. They don't have that ability, right? They're confined to a very small market, but we will bring their soil technology and we'll be able to push a lot of this technology onto places that, again, the small startups, especially in Silicon Valley, haven't been able to go into. And again, they're using man-made materials to help soil. retain moisture, right? So it's not new, but the way they're doing it is really new, and we're excited to working with them. Again, there will be more news coming about that. Access control relay, camera access. So everything that has to do right now from the way that farms control who's in the farm, which a lot of people tell us it's again is not something they think about, but once they start looking at it, it's important, especially from the supply chain and from the ability to bring in that information and that certification to the blockchain. We want to know who goes in there, what do they do when they go there, and again, a lot of those metrics that we're bringing now from the change to the mentality of how, again, that certification and that organic certification goes into the crop. So, and again, right now, it's going to be a lot of the simple things, but in a very intelligent and very sophisticated way. And we also, right now, from the blockchain, we're starting to do controls and creating the processes to be able to subscribe and be able to notify of the changes and the access within the farms.
Thanks, Ari. I'm just looking at the clock. We have about 5 or 6 minutes left. I'm going to keep typing some of the responses in the chat channel to the questions. I would like to turn back, again, we just have a few minutes. I would like to turn back to Erhan. And Ari, I think you mentioned this, talking about partnerships, how we leverage partnerships to move forward in go-to-market and in other aspects as well.
Thank you, Dave. So partnerships, again, with the whole community, agriculture community is important for us, but also partnerships from various perspectives are important. And starting with the whole blockchain and crypto approach and leading us to the ICO, we chose to begin with ICO Box as our ICO partner and helping us to walk us through and help us to launch a successful ICO. They have been very successful in the past, and they have been a helpful partner. Secondly, you need to find the right legal partners to structure this correctly, not only for the onset, but also going forward. So, and as you already know, in Switzerland, we have been getting help from Walderwies, which is one of the top two Switzerland legal firms, helped us to structure the right legal structure for the company, not only throughout the ICO, but also post-ICO, and also tackle the markets in Europe, where we'll be starting initially. Secondly, we have been able to secure and work with the Liechtenstein bank, Bank Frick, to bank all the funds and all the funds been raised by us in a correct manner. And I think we are one of the few companies that have been able to do that. So I think the correct setup was very important from the executive and the co-founders standpoint, because we had a lot to lose to going into this. So in order to win a lot and drive the things in a correct way, we're working again in Switzerland with Walderwies, in the US with Paul Hastings and the Seifen and Bancroft supporting our efforts. We have a number of crypto organizations in Europe, like Crypto Valley or Kryptonite in the Valley itself. We also work with grassroots movement like F6, which is a food accelerator, probably one of the most important one. Peter Hertz, who is their co-founder and CEO. He loves our project, but also Helen Tiboros and Ernest Rodriguez love the proposition from an H2O at the meter perspective, which is a green tech, a company in consulting a lot of institutions and a lot of enterprises in the green tech industry. And this helps us to establish ourselves, and as you already heard probably a little bit from the statements of Ari has made, is there are large wireless providers who would like to partner with us. Among them are obviously AT&T, which would like to have a global relationship. We just started to have more or deeper discussions with them to help us to reach some rural areas in the US and elsewhere, but also T-Mobile, Google. We started to work with the FI project team or FEE project team which will help us, and we will believe these technology and network partnerships will help us to provide more value to our farmers at the lower cost than they have today, and the ability to be able to use technology in rural areas which they simply don't have today. These are, they are maybe for the audience and our community, from my background, and also actually Dave himself has been part of Cisco. I have been a part of a co-investment and an investment company of Cisco in the IoT space, so we have a very good relationship with Cisco as well, which may lead to some deeper relationships with them. And as you all can see, their Senior Director of Global Partnerships, Cash and Basi, is also on our advisory board. So we believe as we progress, we will have more partnerships to work with to drive adoption.
Absolutely. We're almost coming up to the end, and I just, Erhan, I know where I want to close with you, and this is a pressing question, or we get a lot of questions about that, but we do also have a couple other questions coming out of the chat group. One of them was about the marketplace development. So I just want to speak to that again and reiterate. So we do have in the roadmap the development of a marketplace that will connect sellers, primarily farmers, connect them directly with folks who will consume their produce. That's consumers, local grocers, wholesalers, restaurants. So we do have that in the roadmap, and I want to use that again to reiterate that is a software development activity, and I want to really encourage everyone to look at Pavo and view us as a software company. Now, how that's going to work is the IoT blockchain platform that we are rolling out to farmers. That's going to be our feeder network of pulling those farmers in and getting access to them, and then getting them and their data that we collect onto the marketplace to improve transparency for the food that people purchase. So with that, I just want to go back to Ari quickly around the wireless data collection function and how that technology works in terms of getting data out of the farms, off the field, and back to our software as a service platform.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. And yeah, so Erhan already touched on this. We are partnering with the largest LTE, today LTE, future 5G providers in the US, T-Mobile internationally, and we're talking to a couple other companies already in Europe and Asia. Like Erhan mentioned, Google Fi it's been providing a lot of our connectivity from the hub perspective. But the whole idea is to use LoRa as packet forwarders. We believe that LoRa, we hitch our wagon to that technology. After analyzing and looking at a lot of the other options, we believe that because of the way technology is being built within the LoRa networks, the way we're building our platform, and the ability to, again, utilize the packet forwarders in the mesh perspective, which is very unique to Pavo. Most of the LoRa technologies out there are one-to-one independent gateway, not a whole lot of resiliency and redundancy. Ours is different. There will be, again, a lot more information coming that across. That will be part of the open source IoT gateway. What we want is farmers to not have to worry about connectivity, not to be worrying about how that sensor is going to get its data over to the edge and to the cloud. What they want to worry about is that their crops and their fruits and their nuts are healthy, and they're getting more of them, and that information is getting into the marketplace. So so we are indeed developing a network. We are working on to get connectivity of the day to.
All right, let's just pause there for a second, because looks like your connection stalled. So I have a question in the chat, Russian language, other subtitles. Yes, actually, if you look to our YouTube channel, we do have some subtitled videos in languages other than English, and our team is actually working on more subtitled videos in Russian and other languages. So please keep checking in with our YouTube channel, Pavo IoT on YouTube. check in with that for more videos coming and subtitles. And also, I think I put this on the chat line. You can find us now, podcasts on the iTunes Store and podcasts. We will be doing things like taking the audio from this webinar, putting that into a podcast, and also starting a periodic podcast series with some of our partners as well. So please take a look, iTunes, Pavo and the podcast, subscribe, and you can download. We've preloaded that with a bunch of audio sessions that we've done in the past. And I'm going to put this in chat. And then I'm going to turn to Erhan because we're coming up at the end. So very important also, we talk a lot about food, and that's something everybody relates to and so important. Our product has applications for industrial crops too, like cotton, which is, you know, we all wear cotton clothes, flax. A lot of people don't realize that linen, when they buy linen clothes, that actually comes from the flax plant. So there is a multitude of industrial crops. And that's what we refer to as, they're not food, but they have industrial uses, industrial crops that can benefit from our applications as well. So please keep that in mind. Things like cotton and flax, bamboo, and any other, or palm oil, rubber plants in Malaysia, palm oils, all of those plants that have industrial uses can benefit from Pavo. So with that, and Ari, I'm sorry, we had a technical glitch there. Some of your talk got cut out. We missed that. I'm actually working with Ari on a tech paper to go into some more detail about the wireless. So we'll get that out to you folks in the audience as well soon. But start to close up and wrap up, Erhan, if we can turn to you for the final question. We have folks asking about the Pavo token and the ICO and listing on exchanges.
That is always a great question, right? So first of all, we need to complete our ICO, and which is planned. And we will complete it. And once it's completed, and the legal advisors are already listed and commented on, are advising us and clearing the way and helping us to comply with all the legal requirements relative to a listing on exchanges, we will do so. Right? So it's our goal to increase the value, continue to create more value for all stakeholders and for all constituencies, for all who are supporting us in the community, and means we will list on an exchange when all requirements are fulfilled from a legal standpoint. Today, we already have requests from exchanges, which makes me personally happy leading the team, because I think many have realized this is a real project, this is based on a real product, and a team which came in had to lose already a lot of things, and we will continue to create that value. Means all the big names I could list now and talk about, the Kraken or HIT BTC, Cryptos in Japan, and many others, and some Foxbit like in Brazil, and a large Chinese exchange, which I am not allowed to mention as well, already have approached us. And that shows me people expect us to roll out, and as we talked about the go-to-market, as we roll out and achieve more traction with the help of our community and the agriculture community, we will increase the overall value of the company, and I believe that is the reason why exchanges look at us as less speculative maybe than other coins on the planet or in the crypto universe. And which means the value can be sustained over time longer because it's based on real value the company provides, and we will obviously, based on what you heard, will be, I call it the data alchemist over time, helping the agriculture industry, and many other things, good things will come out of it, which will drive more value in the exchanges. For the coin, for the Pavo token. The reason is simply if you will be able as a farmer over time to even pre-sell your product, your crop, and this will drive more liquidity, which is one of the major issues of the agricultural industry across the globe, developed or developing countries. And I think all what we have on our roadmap from a business standpoint, from a product standpoint, from a market and customer standpoint will lead to increase the value of the company, which will help us to steadily provide more value on the exchanges, which also will help the listing.
Excellent. Thank you, Erhan. Thank you, Ari. We are running a bit. We had budgeted about 45 minutes for this. I would like to encourage folks, and I've posted lots of links to the chat channel, specifically the Telegram chat channel. If your questions did not get answered here today, I apologize for that, but we will respond to them in our Telegram chat. Posted the link to the hazelnut yield paper, which shows the underlying mathematics of our algorithms and how we have provided some significant yields in hazelnut production as an example. Our data scientists are busy working on some other papers on other crops and showing how the math works for that. Our YouTube channel, which has got some videos from our installations in California and Turkey, and some words straight from the farmers themselves. Yeah, and of course, find us on Twitter. We're on Instagram. All of this stuff is on our website at pavocoin.com. You can find the links. And there's a Russian Telegram channel. I know we had some questions about Russian language, and we have the team busy working on subtitles in Russian and other languages for YouTube. And then one last thing, I'm not sure if anybody joined us from Turkey, but we do have an event scheduled in mid-July in Istanbul. I think that's already posted on our website. So you can go down and see the road shows and the events that we've got scrolling down on the website on pavocoin.com. So again, thank you, Ari, thank you, Erhan, and thank you everybody for joining today. And please keep checking YouTube and the iTunes podcast channel because we'll get the video and the audio from today's event up there as well. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for supporting us.